Hey, thanks so much for finding the video. Do us a favor. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe. And be sure to leave your comment. We love to interact. Enjoy the video.
The Saints dropped the tough one to the Chiefs, not wholly unexpected. And honestly, they only lost by 3 points in a game where they were tremendously shorthanded. And Drew Brees was playing his first game in 4 weeks. The offense, though, was sluggish, and combo of injuries and Brees. Drew seemed to make a couple decisions that are uncharacteristic of Drew Brees, but overall didn't have his normal weapons out there. What did you make of the offense's performance against Kansas City?
Look, I think that early he definitely just looked uneasy back there, throwing the football. His first attempt was into double coverage to Taysom Hill. When he threw his interception, it was kind of a fluttering duck of a pass, and it was hard to watch. But later on, I felt like he got a little bit more comfortable, and then by that point, you could see it was Emmanuel Sanders and the practice squad, and that was really, to me, the bigger issue. That the windows for Drew to throw were really non-existent, even with Jared Cook, especially with Jared Cook, and he's someone you would think he would have a rapport with. They seem to be not anywhere in the same chapter, much less on the same page. And so, they certainly need to iron that out in the next couple of weeks, because do I anticipate them to get healthy? Yes, I do. That's why you put Michael Thomas and Deontay Harris on injured reserve, and the first week they can come back is the playoffs. But to me, I think that the offense, you'd like to see a more crisp offense. And look, some other elements to it. Jameis Winston being on the COVID-19 list, that limited what you could do with Taysom Hill even more so than with Drew coming back. So I think you add those elements, and the offense wasn't quite near what we're used to watching.
You mentioned the injuries that are on the offense. Traquan Smith went down. Andrews Pete went down. Nick Easton was out with a concussion. Do they expect to get those guys back for Friday?
Well, they did not practice, say, a full session today. They did a walkthrough, and the injury report just came out. All three of those guys you mentioned were deemed not practicing today. The other player deemed not practicing today was Marcus Williams. The good news, and I know many Saints fans were wondering because it looked rough off after the sack fumble, but Trey Hendrickson was not even on the injury report. So that is a big plus. I mean, because he's tied for the league lead in sacks. I mean, he's had a tremendous season and such a big part. But look, if you're without Traquan Smith and you're without Andres Pete and you're without Nick Easton, I mean, that leaves you down to, again, practice squad guys at wide receiver. And then your guards would be Cesar Ruiz and likely Will Clapp or James Hurst, probably Will Clapp, because you keep Hurst more as like the sixth lineman as a tackle. So look, that puts you behind, even though you're in the playoffs. You still want to be playing well, and the momentum right now is not. I mean, they've lost their last 2 games. They could have lost in Atlanta. So we're seeing a sluggish December, whether it's on the field or with injuries as well.
The lack of the running game is a bit concerning, and I guess that can be attributed to turnover on the offensive line right now with the injuries. But is there anything else you've seen as to why? I mean, this because for a stretch there they were just going 200 yard game, 200 yard game, 200 yard game, and honestly, against pretty good defensive fronts that they were facing at the time. Is there anything besides just injury that you see might be holding the Saints' running game back right now?
Yeah, I think they made a tactical error against the Chiefs. I would have liked to have seen them run more on early downs, and it seemed like that did not happen. And then against Philly, they got behind so quick, I think you had to kind of scratch the running game a little bit. And so I don't attribute it to, say, lack of execution. I just feel like game circumstances a couple weeks ago, and then this week, I just felt like that they should have done more. And also, Taysom Hill, when he's quarterback, his runs are carries. So that, it's not just running backs. He can run it. And so you take away that element with Drew Brees in at quarterback, that takes away carries in the run game too, because Taysom Hill's runs count as running attempts. So, I don't think it's an issue where they're having major struggles as far as run blocking is concerned. I just think that we've seen some circumstances that have pushed them away from that. And look, when the Saints are great, they do that well. And so I think you're on to something where they've got to improve that, put themselves in circumstances to where they can run it more. And when you need the run to set up the pass for Drew. I mean, because I don't think teams necessarily respect him throwing the ball downfield, and so they played close up to the line with Kansas City and tried to take that element away.
Enough of the negative, enough of the slow offense that the Saints had Sunday. The defense played pretty well. They were very content to just sit back in the too high safety look and come up and make the play and keep everything in front of them. And honestly, for the most part, it worked pretty well. The Chiefs did put up 32 points, but that's because they're probably the most elite offense in the NFL. And you take the good with the bad. What did you make of the Saints' strategy and overall performance on defense Sunday?
I like what I saw pass rush-wise. It was better than what they had against Jalen Hurts with a similar style quarterback, but Mahomes can make magical things happen back there. Look, his numbers, when you look at them, were basically the same as Drew Brees' by the end of the game. Yeah. His passer rating wasn't great. They created a turnover from him and put him in some bad spots. So I don't really have a major issue of how they played defensively. Problem is they played too long defensively. That's the problem. That goes side by side where they didn't get stops on third down enough, and the offense went 1 of 11 and didn't stay on the field long enough. So if you change even a little bit of that, the Saints would have had a better shot at winning. So I don't know if they would have won, but I do like where you're going defensively. And someone who I feel like, we keep seeing him grow as a player, not just as a trash talker, is C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I think he's grown as a coverage guy. I mean, his numbers, I do a cheat sheet every week on The Athletic and chronicle his numbers week by week by week. And his passer rating against him has gone down and down and down. And his pass defenses have gone up. And so he is certainly an asset. Like, you need him out there, just like you need Marcus Williams out there. His game has improved big time the last few weeks. We talk a lot about the pass rush. Those two guys have been really good, and you need those guys, especially once you hit the playoffs, when you're facing top quarterbacks every week.
It's something that they've had all this success on defense, and yet the way they started the year, man, if you would have ever told me that they would get to the point now that they've gotten to, it was hard to see. Not impossible, but definitely hard to see, and yet here they are. How scary can this Saints team actually be when they are finally all healthy together?
You saw Tampa. That's how scary. They play like that. They're beating anybody, and it's like they're running roughshod. And you got to hope that they can replicate that. And remember, in that game, it's not like Michael Thomas was.
Yeah.
I'm trying to even remember. I don't even think did he play. I mean, he might have played. That might have been like his first game back after the suspension. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head.
I think he was out there for that game, but
yeah,
he wasn't much of a. I mean,
right, he wasn't much of a threat because Brees was still playing and they hadn't really had a big game together. And so when you look at it in that sense, they were. If they play like that, they can beat anybody. I mean, I just think Tom Brady is basically Drew Brees back there, and quarterbacks that they're going to be facing down the line, I mean, you can rattle them off who can actually get out of, wiggle out of stuff, get out the pocket, talk Aaron Rodgers, you can talk Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray. In the AFC, you're talking Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen and, people like that who are Super Bowl contenders. So, the defense needs to play top notch, but, when they're at their best, and that was at Tampa, no one's stopping them. So they have that in them. There's no doubt.
He did play. He had 5 catches off 6 targets for 51 yards. Did Michael Thomas in that game against Tampa Bay?
Yeah.
Larry Holder is our guest. The Athletic on Twitter @Larry Holder. Couple more for you, Larry. Pro Bowl came out two very notable snubs for the Saints. Trey Hendrickson, not a Pro Bowler, even though he's leading the league in sacks, and Demario Davis. It seems like the snubs always get more of the talk than the guys who actually made the Pro Bowl. But what did you make of the Pro Bowl honorees from the New Orleans Saints?
Bona fide snubs, there's no doubt about it. You could throw in Ryan Ramczyk. All he was all-pro last year. So was Demario Davis, all-pro. But you look at the guys that made it. I mean, people are certainly going to circle Andres Pete. How does he keep making it? And, look, I'm hard on Andres Pete because I expect him to be better than he is. But comparably, look, he's not a bad player. I think we just zero in on him because we expect him to be Jari Evans, and he's just not. So, in that sense, that's why he gets a hard time. But Cam Jordan, look, he made it by reputation too. So, Trey Hendrickson should have easily swapped out with him, and yet, but it's almost like Cam Jordan's making a Pro Bowl for one he probably deserved down, before that and didn't make. So I'm okay with that. But I think 5 sounds about right. But you look at the two snubs, Hendrickson and Demario Davis. I mean, those to me are obvious. I would expect Demario Davis to be an All-Pro again, and that to me carries more weight than the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I would say. Go by the All-Pros. Don't go by the Pro Bowl, because sometimes the best players in the Pro Bowl, they don't even participate in the actual game. It's just there. It's not actually, it doesn't really mean anything. One more before we get you out of here, Larry. Give me a quick glance at the matchup with the Falcons. The Vikings this Friday on Christmas Day, 2:30 in the Dome. Normally a tough matchup for the Saints, but, man, this Vikings defense they cannot rush the passer at all.
That is the one thing you need to have a little sigh of relief if you're a Saints fan. There is no Danielle Hunter. There's no Everson Griffin. And like I said, I'm working on my cheat sheet now, and I break down the pass rushers, this, that, and the other. It's a bunch of guys you never heard of. And, they're not major threats. You probably recognize Yannick Ngakoue just because he was with Jacksonville and was pretty good. But, he's their biggest threat, and he hasn't been great. And so, they don't even have Anthony Barr playing. He's been out for almost the entire year. So this is not the same sort of unit that you can be playing. But boy, Dalvin Cook is a man. He can run it any direction. You got to be aware of that. And of course, we know Justin Jefferson very well. I think Saints fans and Dennis Allen, they're going to have to keep a good close eye on Cousins getting the ball to Jefferson.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.